So our next guest is Fiona Nicholson, who is from edyourself.org. And Fiona, like Naomi, has been a fantastic voice in the home educating community, in keeping people informed about things that affect home educators, and just so much more. And it's actually a very rare thing to have Fiona join us on a live like this, isn't it, Fiona? You okay there, Fiona? I spotlight you. There you go. Can you?
Hi,
Oh, there. Your voice works
I
great. So
can't hear myself on
you can't hear
Zoom. Can
yourself.
people hear me?
Can you hear us? Can you
Hello?
hear? Can you hear us, Fiona?
Okay,
Yes. Can you
great.
hear us? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to.
So hopefully this will work.
Yes.
Until it
Okay.
gets to the question and answers, I might have to take the headset off for that.
Okay.
So if you need to communicate with me, Juliet, could you just type a message to the screen here? Is that
Yes,
okay?
I can do. I can do. Let me just get back there. So I'm going to give you some questions, Fiona. So
I just don't dare fiddle with anything to make it better in case it makes it a whole lot worse. There's a metaphor in there somewhere.
okay, I've put a message there for you. Um, I hope you can see it in the chat.
Okay, so I'm going to start because
Mm.
Juliet seems to be telling me I'm in. So, my name is Fiona Nicholson. I'm a former home educator. I live in Sheffield. My son Theo was home educated all the way through, and he's now 32 years old. He is self employed as a cello and violin maker. Um, I do lots on home education politics at a national level and at a local level. And I also do a lot of work with trying to enforce parents' rights in the areas of alternative provision when children can't attend school, and also education otherwise in school packages for um, children and young people with EHCPs. So this is, I would say, 99% for England. I do have a website, Ed Yourself, where I cover information and legalities on Wales as well. But my primary focus and experience and factual knowledge is um, in English law.
Okay, I don't.
So my topic for today was just broadly, are local authorities allowed to do that? This is the question at both ends of the spectrum that I get asked all the time, is either that there will be a local authority, somebody's just started home educating, or is even trying to start home educating, and the local authority is trying to prevent them or raising a safeguarding concern or saying there has to be um, a three-way meeting with the school, whatever. And people say to me at that point, is my local authority allowed to do that? And then when they start home educating, I have parents contacting me a lot of the time saying, local authorities, length and breadth of England, Wales a little bit, via social media or my website, and they say, my local authority is insisting on a visit, my local authority is insisting on samples of work. Uh, can they do that? Are they allowed to do that? So that's for home educators or people who want to home educate. And then at the flip side of that is when local authorities have a legal duty to make provision for a child who or young person, in the case of special educational needs, who is unable to attend school. And it seems that the local authority is saying it's completely up to the school, or we don't really have to do anything. We're ignoring your complaint. We're not engaging with the tribunal process for special educational needs, even though there keep being letters saying that bad things will happen to the local authority if they don't engage. And again, I get parents saying, literally, are they really allowed to do that? And the answer to pretty much all of those questions, sadly, is yes, because because they are allowed to do that. Um, you you don't have to let them get away with it. You don't have to necessarily go along with it. There are levers that you can pull to to an extent to get them to stop if it's something that you don't want, or levers, legal levers that you can pull to get them to start eventually if it's something that you do want. But the law is is very permissive. They don't write laws that say a person isn't allowed to do X, Y, Z. They say what an authority must do, but they don't say what they mustn't do. And essentially, um, that's the problem because it requires knowing what the law is and also having some confidence and preferably having some backup so that you can be assertive with the local authority. And then even if you're not giving them what they want, they they don't have the impression that you've got something to hide or that you're being overly defensive. And in a lot of cases, you can establish some sort of, well, not maybe not relationship, but you can establish some way of working with your local authority. When it comes to enforcing provision in the area of what's called Section 19, alternative provision for children who can't attend school, or education otherwise, and it's called packages within the HCP, it you do have the law on your side very much at that point, but you need to know exactly what the law is, and you need to be good with paperwork or have help from somebody who's good with paperwork. And essentially, it just takes getting your rights enforced takes a really long time. So the local authority can and do refuse everything just automatically because most they'll just they'll dislodge more and more parents at every stage in the process. So it's always worth the local authority saying no because most people will just accept that. And it's even worth local authorities putting a barrister up against you. They're usually not very good at tribunal because, again, for the one case they have to fight or the 100 cases they have to fight, there are maybe 1,000, 2,000 who are too scared because of the stories they've heard to get into that whole, tribunal process. I apparently Juliet put some questions for me on WhatsApp, which I've now not looked at. Oh, right. Please share. So you're now saying huge expensive tribunals. If I could just jump in on that. I'm appearing again at 4:30 when I might be potentially a little bit more slick with this, so I could cover more questions then as well, maybe. So, Juliet, I'm seeing a comment from you about the expense of tribunals. It actually needn't cost very much at all. Potentially, it can cost a great deal. If you're going to do it for free or very cheap, this will sound like I'm advertising myself. You need an advocate, I would say, who is quite dispassionate and knows the law and can sort of hustle you through the process because it will take a long time. It will take a long time to get your EHCP. The expenditure of local authorities. Okay, well, do you mean they they don't have the money to spend on special educational needs, so they say no to everybody, or they spend money fighting cases which they are 99% likely to lose, because
Mm.
it does make a perverse kind of sense for them to fight all the cases. And it is the case that they're pretty much all going bankrupt with their special educational needs budget. They've been allowed to sort of stave off bankruptcy by kind of putting it into another sort of hidden pot that doesn't look like a deficit, but it is all
Mm.
going to hit the buffers next year or 2027 at the very latest. So that's why we're hearing rumors all the time that local authorities are going to take EHCPs away, or you'll only have an EHCP for a special school. Anything about that is not in the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill that's going through Parliament. That's in the schools white paper that we haven't seen yet. We're just getting lots of sort of semi-orchestrated leaks about what might be in, so that we think it's going to be beyond terrible. And then when it's just horrible, we're kind of quite relieved. I think that's the plan.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can hear me
Sorry,
now,
was there another
Fiona. Yeah.
question? I
Um,
feel I'm not answering any questions, possibly
um,
because I'm not seeing the questions or hearing them. Uh, I could revert to the question that you typed me, Juliet, which was, please share a bit about changes you've seen in the home educating community over the years and how that might be influencing politicians. Now, this is a weird one. So I've been home educating. So my son is now 32. I thought we weren't allowed to join education otherwise till he was of school age. So we joined in 1998, and I wasn't aware of the internet, or I don't know if the internet was invented then, frankly, but I was very involved in like local groups. Within a few years, maybe he was like 10, 11, 12, I got involved with Education Otherwise as a local contact, and Education Otherwise government policy group and disability group and so on. And the message I heard over and over again, going to see loads of different local authorities, talking to local and national politicians, was there was some golden age in the past where the right sort of people were home educating, but now it had just all gone to pot, and people were taking their kids out of school just because they were throwing their toys out of the pram because they'd had a problem with school, which should be resolved. And they were home educating for negative reasons, and they shouldn't be allowed to do it. And there was a frightening rise in numbers. It was scary that we didn't know how many there were or where they were, because terrible things might be happening to them. And this was in 2004, 2005, 20 years later, pretty much relentlessly ever since, always the same message. There is a golden age in the past when the right sort of people did it and knew how to do it. But now there are far too many people doing it for the wrong reasons who aren't likely to be able to do it very well. So I guess it's as true or not as it ever was. I think politicians get some quite complex messages from home educators and parents of children with special educational needs, or rather they get messages that it's quite hard for a politician to process, because I imagine they want to try and fix things. So they'll hear loads about problems with schools, and they might think the answer is better schools, but not all children can thrive in schools. I'm getting a message saying wrap up shortly. Yes, okay. I will try and sort out some sound things for the afternoon. Um, is there anything else you'd like me to cover now that I could read and then speak to? I'm so sorry about this sound thing. Too many bits of new tech,
okay,
trying to combine them.
I'm going to okay. Well, we're going to thank Fiona. She doesn't seem to be able to hear us properly. So thank you, Fiona. Fiona will be back with us at 4:30, and hopefully she will get her headset working and be able to hear everything as well. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna mute you, Fiona, because we're hearing double there. Okay. So we are meant to have been joined by Rachel Sarah Lewis. I don't think she's come into the Zoom this morning. So we may just take a little bit of time to just reflect on some of what has been said. I want to ask everyone, please, as well, because we've had to have a change of arrangements, please, if any of you are watching this or come across Facebook and people don't know where to find the live stream, please could you point them to the YouTube video. I have tried to put it in there, but you know what people are like. They sometimes don't see it. It's not obvious enough. I would like to make it obvious, but more obvious. But you're limited by what these social media pages will let you do. Um, but we are live on YouTube, so that can be shared. So I know Fiona you can probably hear me now that you have your headset off. There you are. Um, and but thanks for sharing what you did. And Fiona's been such a stalwart in the homemade community with her page, edyourself.org. And I'll put that in the chat as well. I need to put some of I think it's in the description. I think I put all the links in the description on the YouTube video. So people can go and find your website, go and have a look and see, because you've written copious amounts over the years for home educators. It's a very, very rich resource. Um, but yeah, we've seen a lot of changes over the past few years. I think we're seeing a lot more children coming into home education because they have special educational needs and the schools are not meeting those needs anymore. And we're finding that that's changing the landscape. So we've got many more home educators who didn't really choose, it wasn't really their first choice to home educate. And I don't know. Sometimes I don't know if I'm just remembering with rose tinted glasses, but certainly from my own childhood, I feel like we had a kind of a better time of it. And obviously, I was educated in South Africa, and I feel like somehow we kind of enjoyed going to school. We didn't. Yeah, the schoolwork was a little bit of a drag, but it didn't stretch us to the extent that we felt like we just couldn't cope. And we still had a bit of a childhood. We had some time to relax and to have some fun and not overburdened with homework. And I think that the scenarios changed so much because it's all become very outcomes based, but it's not, the outcomes are not happy, healthy children. The outcome is um, basically, you've got to meet these. We want to make sure the teachers are teaching properly. So we can only do that by testing the children. Um, we want children in school so parents can go out to work. There's all of these other things that are part of that picture. I don't know if you want to comment on that, Fiona. You can try without the headset, and I'll let you know if we can hear you. Okay. Oh, you're
Yeah,
muted though.
still here.
And I'll just ask you to unmute, and then you can. There we go. There you
Can you hear
go.
me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just talk.
Right. Okay. I did a Teams yesterday, and there was just so much background noise that I thought it might be better with a headset, which is new. Yes, I think there are a huge number of children whose needs are not being met by school, and they are um, they're coming into home education, or rather, they're maybe still on the school roll, or they come off the school roll, and I guess effectively they're home educating, but they don't consider themselves to be home educators. They don't want to be home educating, which is ironic because it's called elective home education, like it's something that you choose. And and they are very traumatized by the experience that they've had with local authorities. So there are all kinds of things that trigger them, quite understandably, around safeguarding referrals, or implying that their parenting isn't up to scratch. And yeah, so that is definitely some of the home education communities
Yeah.
are those families everywhere, I would say.
And
Yeah.
I think the message I would like people to hear is that even if you start home educating for reasons that are maybe not elective, it is reluctant, that it can still be turn out to be a really positive experience. It need not be a negative at all.